Welcome to the Right Brain Loves Laugh podcast, where we dive deep into the dynamic world of small business success. I'm your host, Regina Garay, and I'm thrilled to have you join us today. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Right Brain Loves Laugh podcast. My name is Regina Garay, and I am excitedly here with our guest today. Her name is Lindsay Sullivan. She is a small business photographer. And Lindsay, the things I have wanted to speak to a photographer, a small business photographer for so long. And then when I met you, for those of you who are listening and watching, Lindsay and I met in a mastermind group. And the minute she introduced herself, I was like, I need to talk to her, So, and we're going to talk about a lot of the exciting things that she actually has going on. Because I know photography can be very locally based, but you have a lot going on that's can reach anybody in the globe, and we're going to talk about that more. So, Lindsay, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much, Regina. I'm so happy to be here and excited to talk about brand photography and AI and all sorts of fun things.
I know, I'm excited too. So my voice goes high, as you can tell, when I get excited. And I laugh a lot just to forewarn.
Yeah, me too.
So I know we're going to get into all things photography for small business, but when I was going over your website, I noticed that you and I have something in common, which this is completely off topic, but it's cosplay.
Yes.
And I mean, so my husband's a huge Star Wars fan. We went to a Star Wars convention and I like it too. It's not like I don't appreciate it. I love it, but when I saw everybody walking around in their cosplay wear, I don't want to call them costumes because it's too much work.
That's true. They're so intricate. Like so much planning goes into every little detail for it. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So I saw Queen Amidala and I was just like, I was so like enamored. It was perfection. I mean, it could have been Natalie Portman. I don't know, but I literally was like, what? And so of course I wanted to go up and touch, but I don't know the etiquette too much. So I just, I actually addressed her as Queen Amidala, and I think
that's awesome.
Oh, you're so wonderful. Oh, but it's amazing the work that goes into it, and I love it. And I follow people who do cosplay. I mean, it's a whole world, and I love it. And when I saw that on your website, I was like, oh, we're fellow. And plus, we both like fantasy and science fiction books.
Yeah, totally.
I love that. So we can have an entire conversation on just that alone. I know, but so I know that cosplay played a role in your career journey.
It absolutely did, actually. Yeah, I started getting into portrait photography when I would go to the expos. So you were talking about there was a Star Wars one in your area. For us, we have the Calgary Comic Expo. And so I'd go and take pictures of the cosplayers because they're one of the few people that you could just go up to and be like, hey, can I take your picture? They're cool with it. They're actually really excited. It's like a great thing if you have a whole bunch of people asking you to take, a photo of you because then it means the costume's really good. So yeah, I ended up taking pictures of cosplayers, and one of the cosplayers loved her photo so much that she actually asked me to do a whole portrait session with her. And that's how I really got into the portrait world, because before I'd only ever taken portrait sessions, with courses, with instructors on hand to help you pose people and do all that kind of stuff. And so I'd taken a bunch of classes, but this was the first time I did a session on my own and just loved it. Absolutely loved it. We went to this really cool park with waterfalls, and she was in this fawn goddess kind of like nature costume. And it was just,
I wish I'd been there.
It was so fun. It was so fun. Yeah. And then the funny thing is, I just started taking doing more and more shoots with her. And then she had this big one that she wanted me to do with her friends. And she's like, we're going to pay you. And I was like, what?
I'm blown. Oh my
God. And that's how my business started. I got into the cosplay photography and started doing some of that. And then I ended up getting into brand photography and deciding to specialize in that. But one of the reasons is I really love the storytelling aspect of it. So the cosplay and the brand photography, there's actually a parallel there with storytelling. You're picking locations, outfits, props, poses, all of those kinds of things to tell a story, whether it's the character story with cosplay or the business owner's story, with their business. So yeah.
I love it. And so I know your website is thesmallbusinessphotographer.com.
Yeah.
And I wish you were local to me because you're in Calgary, in
I
Canada.
am, yes.
And so I have to somehow figure out a way to get to you to get
That'd be awesome. That'd be awesome.
So, but how do you approach a small business? Because you are the small business photographer.
Yeah.
How does that visual story come about for a small business? What should they prepare for? How do you work with them?
Yeah. Yeah. So I like to go deep into the brand before the photography session. Some photographers just show up and take photos, but I find you don't understand the brand if you do that. And there's also a lot of strategy that goes into a brand photography session because you want photos that'll match your captions on social media. You want photos that'll support your website and maybe upcoming launches of programs or services and things like that. Maybe you've got photos you need for your website or for your newsletter and stuff like that. So there's a lot of strategy that goes into it. So for me, how I start things off is I send out a brand questionnaire that helps me get to know the brand on a deeper level. So even just things like, how do you want people to feel when they look at your brand and see your brand photos? What personality traits do you want to bring out? Like maybe you're a really fun person to work with, so you want to bring out that fun element, or maybe you're really serene and like quiet and introspective, and you want to bring that out, in your brand. So it's very specific to you and your brand. So we look at, what kind of personality traits do we want to bring out? What kind of stories do we want to tell? Do we want to dive into the personal brand where we talk about what you're all about, what you like to do outside your business and that sort of thing, as well as the business brand of what the business does and who it helps and, all of those kinds of things. So yeah, so we get to know a fair bit about the brand with the questionnaire. I put together a storyboard on Pinterest with ideas, things like poses and outfits and props and all of that. And then we meet and have a meeting and we just talk about, okay, what are our key priorities for the shoot? Like which photos do you like on the Pinterest board? Which ones do we want to prioritize? And that sort of thing, and just basically plan out the shoot so we get as much as we can, with all of the different areas. So yeah.
What? Oh my gosh, that is a lot more involved than I thought, and I love it because then you really get to. I really, really thought that you showed up and you were just like, okay, there's a makeup artist or a stylist. If you decide to, because I know those are separate from the photography.
Yeah, I have people that I recommend for that. So if you want that, we can definitely add that in for sure. But yeah.
Yeah, because as I learned, because I have a background in the music industry. And so when I worked with the artists, we would have, photo shoots for their album covers and all the promotion. And so I learned that the makeup that you wear every day is not necessarily the makeup that translates well in a photograph. And so even just knowing that was like, so I have such respect for photography because there's so much just by being in those scenarios, how much work it is. And it's not just what you do that day, but how you work with the photographs after you take them before you provide them with your client.
Yeah, that's true. The editing that goes into it as well, and planning. And yeah, there's a lot that goes into getting some good photos. Yeah.
So this is a little left of center. Okay, so when I see people who have, obviously good photographs and branded photographs of themselves, and then I see a whole slew of others. So I'm wondering, you must work with some small businesses time and again, because I can't imagine that all of that happens in one day or
Yeah, I'd say it depends on the package. That's actually a really cool thing about the brand photography is we're batching a whole bunch of different photos. So we're going to have potentially, let's say you do a full day brand session with me. It would be, we go to a couple different locations. You'd have a ton of different outfits, different scene setups, different props that we're going to bring in. And so because you're adding in different outfits and different locations, it looks like there's more than one day of photography, but because you're batching it, it's really handy for you, so you're saving a bunch of time because you're just getting all your outfits, your makeup, all of that fun stuff done in one day, and then you get a whole bunch of photos to work with afterwards. But
Oh,
yeah, but you can also do that kind of throughout the year as well, depending on your needs.
I, that's so great because then they can use it because that's,
Mhm.
they can use it throughout everything,
Yeah,
their
yeah.
website, their social media.
Exactly. And you can even do theme stuff. Like I have a new client that I'll be working with next month, and they want Christmas photos, they want birthday photos, like because they send out cards to all of their clients. And so they wanted photos to go with that. So we're actually going to have like a Christmas theme for some of the photos in July.
Wow.
But nobody has to know that they were taken in July, right? But
That brings a whole new meaning to Christmas in July.
yeah,
That's a great idea, in terms of the
yeah.
holidays and
Hmm.
thank you cards, I guess, could be,
Yeah.
something.
Hmm.
All right.
Exactly. And that's where the strategy comes into it because you're thinking about, okay, what are my needs? What are my photo needs for the year? And then you incorporate that and get those photos.
So, okay, so I'm gonna kind of give you my little guilty confession that I do not like taking photos. So
Oh, okay.
it's
Fair.
no, it's like a phobia.
Oh no.
I mean, that's why I need new headshots because I have some that are, yeah. So a little older than I'd like them to be in terms of me, I mean, it's me, but
Mhm.
anyway. So how can somebody become more comfortable with taking a photo? Is there something they can do to prepare ahead of time, or is there something that you do? How do
Yeah.
how would you
There's quite a,
life?
yeah, there's quite a few things you can do. You can actually, depending on what your photographer allows, you can bring a fun playlist. So I've had people bring some of their playlists that help them feel just kind of excited or like relaxed or whatever it is they want to feel. And that just relaxes them because it's their music and it's fun, So there's that. You can also do some, visualization meditations and just kind of grounding meditations before your session. I actually run my clients through a really short one for the one-on-one brand photography sessions. I'll sit them down and have it do a short little meditation before we even start, just to ground them and get them into a good mindset. But you can do that yourself too. So yeah, before the shoot. Yeah.
It's funny you say that because it's true. I run mastermind groups, and
Nice.
when we go there, we have affirmations before because a lot of people are running
Mhm.
late or they've had a rough day or whatever it is. And so when we get there, it's about,
Yeah.
making this a safe space, getting into the right frame of mind to discuss. So I can see it being the same way in terms of, okay, I'm
Hmm.
this, I'm excited at the same time, but it's really time to create this
Yeah.
important piece of
There's
brand.
Exactly. And I often too like tell them to kind of think about why they're getting the photos done. So usually like a lot of people I work with, they've got a really strong why, right? Like who they want to help, they want to make a positive difference in people's lives. And so if they have good photos, that's going to attract more of those clients. So I tell them to not think about needing to be perfect in the photos, but just think about if I have good photos, I'm going to attract more people that I can then help. So,
I love
it's not
it.
about me, it's about them, you know? Yeah.
And so a lot of times when we talk about branding and marketing,
Mhm.
a lot of the listeners and watchers are solopreneurs or they have small teams and they are the face of their brand.
Yes. Hmm.
How would what advice would you give them for people who are hesitant to be the face of their brand? Is there?
Yeah, I'd say like these days, especially with AI, and I love AI, but I feel like these days people have a little bit of distrust, right, around some of the branding because there's so much AI and it's not necessarily authentic, right, to the person. So it's really important, I think, to have some brand photos that show the person behind the brand because people really want to know the person these days. They want to know what the brand's all about, why you started your company, why your services, why choose you, right? And part of that is really bringing helping them get to know you as a person, and which kind of gets us in more into a bit of the personal brand is you can bring out some photos that show what you like to do outside your business. For example, let's say you love to garden or you love to go for walks with your dog. If you're having some photos of that and you share those on social media talking about hey, I love dog. I've got these awesome dogs. One of my favorite things to do is go for a walk in the morning with my dogs. What's one of your favorite things to do in the morning? That creates engagement on social media. And also anyone who loves dogs like me is going to be like,
Right.
wow, she loves dogs. I feel a connection to her. Right.
But
So that it just creates these connections with people, and just they're not no longer just the chiropractor they're going to see or the coach that they've hired. It's like this is a person now that I feel like I get to know a bit more before I've even met them in person. It's like, yeah.
I love that. Yeah, because it's, you know, it, to me, getting to know, and I know, because I come from a fact that I really do not like to be on camera, but it is so
Mm-hmm.
important for somebody to kind of see you and then they kind of
Yeah.
feel a warmth to you, or they know that you get them, by what
Mm-hmm.
you say, because you follow it up with what you say or what you like. And again, like the walking of the dogs, I mean, I love dogs. Who doesn't? Some people don't love dogs, but you know, it's, I've sparked conversations with people who are like, I have a pit bull too, or something like,
Yeah.
a box. Now I have a boxer, but um,
Yeah.
so in terms of that, are there any
Mm-hmm.
mistakes that you would say, that you would advise small business, to stay away from or not do with their photography?
I'd say they really want to pick someone or get photos where they show their authentic self, because there can be, if you like, I've had people come to me before because their previously existing photos were kind of stuffy or awkward, and that can be detrimental. And because people are seeing that awkward stuffy photo, and then they meet the person and they're like, oh, you're not at all like who I thought you were based on the photo, right? And so you really want to bring out that personality and help people get to know you. And so I'd say that would be something to be careful of, is making sure they're getting photos that really feel like you and represent your brand. Other things to look at too is just having a strong strategy. I already mentioned that already, but really having that strategy before you go into the shoot, so the photos will be useful. You can actually use them to market your business, because sometimes people will get photos if they haven't done any strategy, and then it's like, well, it's a lovely photo, but how do you use it? It doesn't fit your marketing needs. So yeah.
It's true that you say, because I know of a small business owner and who has tattoos. And so he
Mm,
I have one question after this for you, and then we'll talk about
mm,
other AI, because I do want to touch upon that. So he has tattoos, it's who he is. And one photographer said, no, we got to cover it up because you don't
mm,
want to turn people off, quote unquote. And he just felt so uncomfortable. And then he found a different photographer who was like, no, let's let it show.
mm.
Let's show who you really are. And those photographs came out so well. And his business got even more because people related or knew who he was, or what, all that. So,
Yeah.
finding that second photographer, so finding the right photographer made all the difference for him.
Yeah.
So what would you recommend? How would people know this is the right photographer for me? Because I can imagine they'd have to take a look at the photographs. I'm looking at the photographs that you have
Mm.
on your background. For those who are watching, for those who are just listening, she's got samples of her work, and I'm like, that's exactly what I like. It's a lot of light, there's color, there's good, there's personality. So I know you would be perfect for me. How does somebody find somebody?
Yeah, I think there's a couple things to look at. You mentioned kind of the brightness of the images. So you want to look at the photographer's style, first of all, to make sure that they are the right style, because there's some that have more of a darker, edgier look, which might fit the brand, right? But so you want to make sure that their style fits your your brand. So that's a good thing. You can also look at the images as well. Do the people look awkward and stuffy, or do they look like they're relaxed? Do you see that authentic smile shining through? Like, you can just tell based on the posture and the expressions and things like that. Yeah, and then just talking to them, right? Like talking to them before you hire them, just getting on a call with them, and just seeing if you're a good fit personality wise, telling them what you want to do with the brand. Because I think with the tattoos, it's really, I think it's showing who he is, and also who's his client avatar as well, right? Like, who does he want to attract?
Right, right.
So so
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's important to just kind of talk to them about your vision for the photos and that sort of thing, and just see if they're on board. And yeah.
That's great. That's great because you can get into a situation where it's not the right fit for you.
Hmm.
You don't know any better. You're like, okay, they take pictures of small business owners. It's
Yeah.
the right thing for me. And it's really about having that conversation and say,
Yeah, totally.
yeah, because for me, I can imagine, okay, so I'm going to need a couple of different locations, a desk, something with art,
Mhm.
and speaking with a photographer who understands that, or whatever
Yeah,
your individual thing.
totally. Totally. Awesome. And one who you feel comfortable with too. If it feels really awkward, then it's going to be like, well, that might translate into the photos, right? So, do you have like, you feel like you've got a good rapport with them and like, you know, their way of looking at things, I guess, you know?
I like it. I like it. You're so warm and inviting, so I can imagine how much easier, how
Mhm.
great it would be to have you photograph.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Okay, so let's talk about AI a little bit because I know
Sure.
that AI, some photographers are concerned about it. You're embracing it.
Yeah. I really like the AI as well. I still think there's a huge need for brand photography, but I also think that, you know, it's also good to have some custom stock images to support your needs as well. You can use them on your, your landing pages, on some of your social media posts and presentations. Whenever you want to talk about something that you're, you know, talking about it in a presentation, you can match an image, to the talking point and stuff like that. And so what I love about the AI is you can quickly and easily create images from scratch with only a text prompt. So you can be like, okay, I need to talk about how I save my clients time. So I might create, an image of a clock, and it would just be like a teal colored alarm clock on a white background, and boom, I've got this image of a teal colored alarm clock on a white background that I can now pair with that caption or that pain point on the website. So yeah, it's really cool.
I, I can, and I can imagine with stock because I use a lot of stock photography.
Mhm.
And I cannot tell you how much time I spend, you know,
Yeah. It's painful, right? It's
it's
painful.
painful, it's fun. I consider it fun just because I like tedious work. But yeah, that's a guilty admission there. I love tedious work, but it takes hours and you're just like trying to find the
Mhm.
right keywords. And then
Mhm.
some sites just don't have what you need, and
Yeah.
or they have
Mhm.
what you need, but you're like, oh, I wish this was in purple, and
Yes. I wish it was in my brand color or my client's brand color if you're doing it for the client.
exactly.
You know? Yeah.
So I know because you have a course that you teach
Mhm.
people and teach small businesses how they can use AI to generate custom.
Yeah.
Please tell me about that because this is fascinating.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. So I've got a course, and it basically covers a couple different things. So it teaches them how to use what I consider one of the best AIs out there. Because you want to pick one that you can actually customize the images. So if you create an image and then you're like, oh, I'd actually prefer them to be wearing, a teal colored jacket instead of a blue jacket or instead of a pink jacket, you can actually go in and change it, just that one little piece. So I really think it's good to have one that has that ability to customize. But yeah, so I teach people how to use Midjourney AI, all of the cool commands, prompts, what to put in your text prompts so you can actually get an image that matches your marketing. But also I teach them the visual storytelling side of things too. So what kind of images do they want to create for the brand? So you talked about brand colors. That's going to really up level your brand if your images are in your brand colors and are cohesive, right? So you've got a cohesive look. You're not just having random images, which is what you get on stock, right? Stock photography sites is you're stuck with whatever color they've got.
That's
So
it.
this way you can, yeah, and this way you can actually add in your client avatars. You can be like, I want a 40-year-old woman with, blah blah blah,
Oh my
and
God, you can put in your target audience too?
yeah, you can put your target audience in. Absolutely. Yeah,
Put
it's
your
really
own
really
photographs in to generate.
yeah, you can actually put your own photographs in, and you can actually put your face onto some images. So you can create something. I created like this woman on like this starship, and then put my face onto it, so it looked like me. It was pretty cool. For the geeky people who like
I,
to do things like that, that's possible.
I'm good. I'm good with that.
There are brand applications. Obviously, you can put your face onto different things. So you can get more mileage out of your brand photos. It's not in a program where you really edit the photos. There's other programs for editing photos that are AI based. This is more creating images from a text prompt or bringing in an image and using that as a reference. For example, like I took an image of me, and then I put that onto, asked it to make an image of me walking on a beach, for example. So yeah, you can upload images to use it as a reference.
Interesting. Okay, so it kind of works like photography too, because there's the generation of the photograph.
Yeah.
And then if you wanted to, there's separately the editing of that creation.
Kind of, yeah, changing something about it.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah. Yeah, and actually there are completely separate programs for editing as well. So yeah, there are some good ones for that for sure. But yeah, I think it's really cool how you can specify things. You can even specify the locations, right? So the location can tell a story. I have this one example where I have someone doing yoga, for example, and I've got yoga in the park. So she's got a park background. I've got yoga in a corporate office, for yoga at lunchtime kind of classes, and then yoga in like a regular studio with hardwood floors and big windows. So you can specify the location because the location is going to tell a story depending on what course you're offering, So
yeah. So if you're a yoga teacher, let's say that's your business, and you teach corporations, so you come into corporations, I can imagine that stock photography probably would be very limited in that type of situation, but with AI, you can change it to fit the kinds of clients that you want to attract.
Exactly. So that's why I love it, because it's so customizable to your marketing. You can be like, okay, I'm offering, yoga classes in the park, so I'm going to create images to fit that theme, or, so it's really handy in that you can really customize it to fit your needs. So, and you can add props in, you can add in cameras and laptops, and you can ask it for things like that, clothes that you want them to wear, the colors, the hair. Yeah.
And so the use of this, so let's say you generate some brand photographs with AI, I'm guessing you can use this for your marketing.
Yeah. So you could use it to support captions. So let's say for me, I like to talk about frequently asked questions, things people often ask me about brand photography. And so one of them is, what do I wear? Right? That's a very popular question. What on earth do I wear? Right? And so
asked.
Yeah. And so for that, I could actually, have racks of clothes, create an image with racks of clothes, or like an outfit or something like that. And then I could talk about that particular pain point on social media. So you can create an image to support your social media posts or to support your website, or if you want to be able to talk about a particular pain point or emotions your clients experience before working with you or after working with you, you can create images that reflect that and use that for your marketing. You can also use it for newsletters. Like I use AI images in my newsletters, for the images where you have, a picture and then you've got words on top. I like to use AI for that as well, just so I can have a lot of different images for my newsletters. And yeah, also, and presentations too. Like would I create my presentations for AI where I talk about, AI, it's like, I had one where I wanted to talk about the ingredients that go into a prompt. So, the essential components that you want to have in your prompt to the AI. And I created a cool image that just showed a bunch of food ingredients. So it's just kind of like,
because
talking about that.
Yeah. And for those listening or watching, the AI prompts are the instructions that you type into whatever program you pick so that it generates the results that you're looking for. So,
exactly.
So yeah, that's why the prompts are so important, which is like the ingredients to a recipe.
Exactly. And I'll just give an example. Like, let's say you wanted to have an image of a woman. You might say something, a 40-year-old woman sitting at a desk by a big window. So you can specify the lighting and the kind of look you want, working on a laptop. She's got curly brunette hair or straight, whatever color hair you're looking for. And, teal colors or teal aesthetic. And then it'll create an image for you with a woman basically sitting at, a desk. And you can even specify the emotions. You can be like happy, looking happy and that sort of thing. And then I would take maybe that image and I would use that to talk about my online course, So, but yeah, it's really just a text prompt where you just say, hey, I want this image of blah, blah, blah.
I love it. So
oh, you just got muted there, Regina.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Oh, there we go. Oh, there you're back. You're back.
Okay. So what are the emerging trends that we need to kind of look out for as small business owners in terms of photography and AI? Just to,
Yeah. I'd say it's still good to, it's really good to have, if you have the budget for it, to get some brand photography, because that really shows the person behind the brand and establishes trust.
Mhm.
But then also, really look at learning AI image creation, so that you can just quickly and easily create images whenever you need them. Because then you're not wasting a bunch of time trying to find that image in stock imagery sites. It frees
Mhm.
up a bunch of time for things that you love to do, or things that you're really, would rather spend your time on in your business or with your family. So yeah, I would say embrace both of them, pair them together.
Yeah, because I can imagine that you need really good photography of yourself to
Yeah.
plug into AI so that it generates
hmm
other images of yourself doing other things. But it starts with
Yeah,
it starts with a good primer, and good base
exactly.
paint. Once you have that, you can create many things on top of that.
Exactly. And I still think like the brand photography has a little bit more authenticity in terms of the smiles and stuff like that. But yeah, even if you take those photos and put them into AI, you want to have, photos of smiles that you like, and like things like that. So yeah.
Okay, okay.
Mhm.
And do you just out of curiosity, do you offer, so I know we can take the course, but if somebody says,
Mhm.
I would love this to be generated for me, do you offer that service at all?
Oh
Or
yeah, I do actually. I have it currently as an add-on to brand photography, but yeah, I could do that as well. It'd be some similar process where I get to know the brand and what kind of images, you need for your marketing and stuff like that, and then I would create them for them as well.
love it. Love
hmm
it. Lindsay, thank you so much for coming
Yes,
onto the podcast. I need to have you back because I'm sure I'm going to have lots of follow-up questions. Um,
awesome. Yeah.
so for those who would like to get to know you and look at your course, where can they find you? How on social, on your website? Let us know.
Yeah. Yeah. So my website is thesmallbusinessphotographer.com. So they
Mhm.
can find out about brand photography there. And if you scroll down the page, there's a spot where you can learn about working with me with the AI workshops. And then I'm also on social at the small business photographer.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank
Mhm.
you so much. And um, if you look down in the description, I will have the direct links to her website and also the course in case you are interested. And how to reach
Awesome.
Lindsay. Lindsay, thank you.
Thank you so much, Regina. This has been awesome. I love talking about brand photography and AI. So it's great.
I love talking about branding and photography. It's kind of like that unknown subject for me. So to have you to speak to has been wonderful. Thank you.
Awesome. You're welcome.
All right, everyone. We'll see you soon. Bye.
Bye, everyone.